damage dealer. I love it.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
We're going to Game 5. Our final series of League play. Oh, yes, this is awesome.
I didn't think we would go to Game 5, and I sure did not think we would go to Game 5 in this fashion. The fact that we've seen the Zod from the members of Tempo Storm, and they've been overly dominant, and then Team Freedom figured out how to deal with it, and then the next game, Tempo Storm comes in on Towers of Doom and just looks dominant as well. I actually have no idea what to expect in Game 5.
I don't know either. We can, while we're waiting for the teams to pick a map, take a look at some of the cheers. We're going to start with Tempo Storm, the top 5 cheers
Only to guess Gladman.
What a surprise! Gladman at the top of Tempo. Who would have thought that? We'll probably take a look at Freedom after that.
Secretly, it's Ray Noodle and nobody knows.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, that's Ray Noodle.
Ray Noodle.
Ray Noodle Smurf. He's just throwing the dollars in the hero scene, even supporting Team Freedom here. That's a big old cap on that one. Gladman still dominating for Team Freedom. We got Pretty Darn Savvy sitting down in the 3rd slot, but...
It's Purdy?
Darn. And a lot of Savvy.
I'm just saying. You said pretty, and it's Purdy.
It's Purdy?
Purdy.
Yeah, see, there's this thing for a young man who grew up in Wyoming. It's in your best interest to just try and remove as much of that accent as you possibly can.
Hey, I grew up in Kansas. I get it.
Yeah, I just, you know, it's just not something. You don't walk around saying the word Purdy, and too many people go, "You're a bright young lad, aren't you?" I bet you have a bold future ahead of you.
You make a fair point.
Yeah.
We've got Game 5 soon. It's going to take place on Battlefield of Eternity, chosen by Tempo.
Tempo Storm has gone off the Warhead hype train here for the series against Team Freedom.
This is the other Battleground ban that Team Freedom usually has when they're not banning Dragonshire. So, full circle now.
Oh,
Tempo Storm used to ban Battlefield of Eternity. Then they started to let it not be banned, so they pick Infernal, or so they could ban Infernal Shrines. Teams start picking it against them, saying, "What's up? Can you actually play this?" Now Tempo Storm does that to Team Freedom.
It's brilliant, isn't it?
This is the mic drop.
Exactly. We are at the point where we could be starting. We could write narratives just over map selection for a team at this point. I vote. Ooh, who else has a more dramatic story in a map? I would like to, other
MVP
than
Black and Tomb in L5.
Yeah, that would be, or any Korean team in Sky Temple in general. Actually, I think there's a really cool kind of thing going on with that, because historically they used to be first pick, but now it's only like a tier 2, tier 3. But every top tier Korean team enjoys it, and it's mainly because, according to Wolf, it's just they feel like it's easy work of their opponent. They get a quick game.
Oh.
Oftentimes is it. MVP Black's like, I can snowball this game out of control and we're going to win. Obviously, maybe not quick in terms of.
Sorry, you go.
I was just going to say in terms of time, but it is quick in terms of we get the lead and it's pretty easy to secure the game.
Yeah. I was just going to say, how can we forget MVP Black and Battlefield of Eternity?
Yeah.
Let alone the Tomb.
Team Freedom opens up here with their first pick, Vala, indicating. I'm not even going to say. Oh, I guess maybe not on this map. You can first pick Vala and not double support and not go into that avenue.
Well, with an Ariel first ban, it's already dissuading that a little bit.
You could task Tracer. Just
could.
give the 1-2 punch here for Tempo. Do we see a Zod come out here?
Artanis, again.
Okay, so I know that we're excited, but I just feel like we might be getting too excited here, Kelly. I don't think we're going to see ourselves in Artanis.
Last time we said that, we got one.
But that was because Even in Death loves us. They were like, we need to make them feel better. We're going to give them an Artanis Tronda.
Oh, that's what it was.
Tempo Storm's trying to just body Team Freedom here, get the upset.
Yeah, I think even if Tempo Storm was at the we're going to be reserving our strategies part of mindset, it's almost out the window now that they're one game away from taking out Freedom.
TAS ETC. ETC being picked up on BOE, though, not surprising, and removing the Tassadar from Vala is a nice tool for Tempo Storm. But they have to find a way to make up for that. Tassadar on a map like Battlefield of Eternity, though, it doesn't seem to be punished too frequently in North America. I do feel like oftentimes we get away with just kind of going Tassadar plus no hypercarry and still winning the race, which just shouldn't work. Originally, when Tassadar on Battlefield of Eternity, everybody's like, if you don't have something for this, that character just loses. Because you aren't going to be able to out-trade us because you can't damage it. Granted, he's a bit better in damage than he once was, but I am still amazed at how frequent that does happen, and we'll see if Freedom maybe looks to get that punishment here. If they go double support, very much not the case, but we'll find out.
What else would Freedom want to play here on Battlefield of Eternity?
I wouldn't mind a good old hacker.
Maybe a Malthael. Seems like we've just been more about banning Malthael.
Hi, Morales. There's that Murden.
Stim drone.
Be able to help out that Vala, make sure that she's getting the pew-pew. So I'm going to assume that either Falstad, Tyrael, or another support is going to be picked for Team Freedom to help that Morales be effective. I'm going to assume it most likely is the double support because that has been the most common trend here in North America. But if we go take a step back, look towards other metas of past, those other heroes like the Tyrael and Falstad are really, really good with her. Brightwing even being hovered as a ban for tempo.
So some sort of hyper-aggressive hero, Tracer, Illidan.
Ban Rhaegar if you're Team Freedom. It would be such a huge ban in this direction if they go that way because the effective health of that target versus the shielding Tassadar Uther is a bit awkward. It also removes any race potential. It's not that common of a ban, but I do think this is a moment where even though they'd be giving a burst healer, it's not nearly the same value. And because that Brightwing ban, it does indicate, again, that heavy hyper carry, just limiting the effective health. We'll see. They don't have to. They could let it go through. And who do we even assume that to be? Is it going to be the Illidan?
Last time Tempo Storm played Tassadar in Battlefield of Eternity, it was with Illidan versus Lag Force. Illidan and Malthael too. Very aggressive composition. And they paired that with an Uther, which is still up too.
I guess that is a point. If they pick that exact same, they go with the Kel'Thuzad. So do we see the exact same comp from Tempo? I mean, I would assume so.
They can't get the Malthael. Oh, it is still up.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was banned for some reason.
No, it was let through.
Ooh.
So it could be the exact same composition.
That would be fun. That would be a fun comp.
I'm a bit torn on this rotation for Tempo Storm. I kind of want him to go with that composition, but I also don't want to see them commit to this kind of hyper carry play. But the Brightwing, we originally were like, oh, this is a hyper carry, but now that you say it, like, it doesn't have to be. It very much could be that exact same composition. So now it's kind of just what does Tempo want to do? There's the Malthael. Making the Falstad even more incentivized, by the way, and the Tyrael, both of those for this Lieutenant Morales.
So maybe do Tempo get the Falstad here instead?
Falstad would make the most sense, way more than the Tyrael.
Yeah.
But they don't. We're going to go with Malfurion. I almost called him Malthael.
Oh, man, we've got Malfurion and Malthael on the same team.
Maltharion.
That's a mouthful.
I think I named Okay, that was good.
You got him!
Mouthful.
I'm walking off the stage. I'm done. Good night.
A mouthful? That was brilliant. Man, I think I just split everywhere trying to do that. But seriously, that was impressive.
Thank you.
Okay, Freedom.
Whew.
Still, I feel like I would be very surprised if we don't see them pick up one of those three again. Or I feel like the Falstad is better than everything. But again, double support's been so dominant in North America, or at least has displayed in terms of involvement rate.
Yeah. Well, Tempo's shown that Malthael is going to be the person who's splitting off and soaking the lanes. Freedom something like that. They get Tracer. And Lucio.
I thought that was going to be a Tyrael then if you went with the Tracer route. Just to go for the opportunity to just dive in. Abuse the lack of cleanse. But then they still go with the Lucio. This has been really interesting. Starting with the secondary ban phase, this has been one of the more interesting drafts I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, it is
and
really
I think I mean that in a very positive way.
Yeah,
more than
yeah.
Normally I say that, I'm like, maybe not. But this one is more, I feel like there was a lot well done.
Like the Morales and Vala together, and then Lucio Tracer together, you got that hyper mobility. Lucio to keep up with Tracer, sound barrier her if needed. She can pressure a lot, but Tassadar's shield will be able to help with pulse bombs. And picking a Tracer into a Malfurion, it's been a while since Malfurion's been the hot support, but Twilight Dream can ruin her day. And Illidan still, even...
Into the Tracer. This is interesting. Tempo Storm, they're going with the double, you know, Tempo Storm has a composition that definitely can work, but for Battlefield of Eternity, it doesn't necessarily dominate into the early game. I don't want to say that I don't feel like the other composition does for Freedom either, right? Like, by no means does it stand out, but it should be better into levels 1 through 9. And it's Battlefield and it's Team Freedom, right? Like, these games have been decided usually 1 through 9. It is, other than Team Freedom, Sky Temple adjusting to the Kel'Thuzad, every game has been, if you got the lead, you left it up until the game was over. So I'm going to assume, based on that, I think I give Team Freedom the advantage. They have the Tracer for the early game, a couple of soft counters, not necessarily confident Tempo is going to be effective in the early game. They could be based on the Malthael-Illidan split, but I think that means that they have to be flawless in rotations, which they've displayed today that they can be.
Yeah, they have been dominant in the early game with Kel'Thuzads, who are still building up Blight, and they were dominant in the early game with an Abathur on Towers of Doom. They've been very dominant early in most of the games of the series, so we'll see if they can get the upset over Team Freedom. The game is ready. It's Game 5 on Battlefield of Eternity. Winner of the game takes it home.
We're kicking off here in the blue as Tempo Storm June on the Malfurion. We have ETC playing, or no, we don't have ETC playing Fury.
Playing his guitar.
We're going to have Cawthon Luck on the Tacet. Our Psalm is on the Illidan, and last is Caterpillar on Malthael.
And in the red, Team Freedom Collusion playing Lieutenant Morales, Zugrug playing Muradin, Cure on the Tracer. I think that's the first Cure Tracer we've seen, and I am pumped. Dansky playing Vala, and Nasmus will be the Lucio.
For anybody curious as to why Tracer Illidan situation, why is Tracer considered that kind of soft counter into the Illidan, is just because of the sustainability of the auto attacks. She just can keep up with his movement as he is one of the highest mobility, but then his evasion is only temporary, and Cure is going to have auto attacks nearly 100% of the time. And even if he invades you or evades you, you have the opportunity to just pulse bomb.
Yes.
It's just all the things that auto attacks and mobility is what Illidan's got going for him, and Tracer doesn't really care about both because she does both as well, if not better, than him in certain areas. But again, it's more of a skill than it is a direct, like, oh, this is 100% over to you.
And even if he were to take Sixth Sense and get some spell armor at 13 to go along with his evasion, Cure can just get Quantum Spike, which is the normal pick at level 10 for her, and then she still has the % damage to burst through that. We've got some early damage happening for Tempo Storm in the top lane, trying to keep up with what undoubtedly was going to happen with the support plus Vala damage.
This is advantageous for Tempo Storm. Just any structures that they can get down is going to benefit Psalm and the, essentially really opening up a playground for him on that Illidan. It doesn't hurt Freedom because they do have a Tracer who's pretty good at the chase, but their composition's not as outstanding as Tempo Storm in that avenue.
Tempo Storm gets the fort down likely before Team Freedom do. Yeah, it'll go down. Malthael has been able to keep Team Freedom somewhat at bay, at least longer enough that it might require Team Freedom to stick in this positioning while Tempo Storm can get a better setup for either a flank on them or just a setup for the Immortal phase, which is spawning right now.
Huge advantage here for Tempo Storm, and they should just essentially just be a free trade into the halftime show, forcing a very offensive secondary half here for Freedom. They land a stun. Fury's able to make it out there. Good nade from Collusion, but not enough to get the old Immortal Wombo combo.
Seeing Perfect Storm. We'll see if Sledgehammer is to follow up so that Muradin can help the rest of the team out with the Immortal damage. But it's all down to Monster Hunter, which was picked up by Dansky at level 1. It does do a fair amount to the Immortals, tying up the health pretty close.
Level 4 is achieved here for Team Freedom. I'm surprised that Tempo Storm was not more aggressive with the level 4 talent tier advantage. We don't often talk about the level 4 talent tier, but it is still a relevant one in towards those early skirmishes. Nasmus is in a terrible spot. He's trying to be able to kite around. Pulse Bomb goes on to Fury. He keeps himself up with that armor, but the chase is real. Collusion kiting around. He's going to be the first to drop, but I think Cure has got a double kill except for that power slide, forcing the recall. Gilly, they're all over the place here.
It is a 1-for-1 though, even all over the place. Cure the next being chased. Blinks out of the Death Shroud, and absolutely necessary so that Cattle can't get on top of him. It was a low health Tracer. The Tempo Storm, thanks to the double supporting and having the Tassadar shield, still were able to rotate and start the halftime show. Neck in neck with Immortal health. as they swap positions.
Willing to try and start this race here, even though ETC isn't there, allowing Zugrug to get a very free zone. Boop coming out from Nasmus. The race is going to be heavily won by the members of Team Freedom.
That was fantastic, just with Nasmus and Zugrug.
The one thing I'm considering here for Tempo Storm is why they decided, or what I'm asking is why they decided to kick off, the secondary half of that soon with ETC not there. For like, they had all the time in the world to just give up a bit of free damage to Freedom and then wait for ETC to be in position. Zugrug had nothing to fear because there was no cow in his face to lock him down for a 1 versus 5 kill. Tempo Storm, by starting that so soon, they were essentially 2 seconds behind. And today, North America, we've been punishing within 2-second windows pretty consistently. Don't ask me why, but we're growing here.
We're doing the damage. Tempo Storm, it's a very low shielded Immortal, so at least it moved into a position where Cattle can more reliably, oh man, get damage with Reaper's Mark. But the punishment from Freedom tried to come out. Cattle still stayed alive though. And the fort will be kept mostly healthy, only taking a little bit of damage.
We haven't seen too many pulse bombs really land into kills like we normally see with high impact tracer play. I'm not putting that on to cure shoulders by any means, but it does make me a bit scared, right? When we look at compositions with tracers, which ones are successful, which ones aren't, it's very rare that we see these early game pulse bombs go down like this, and by not getting a kill that the team is successful. Granted, it's different than normal. This isn't a standard task tracer comp. It's also in response to the Illidan, but I am, immediately kind of going, is this going to really thrive in the manner that we thought it would?
We've got a fight over the Cosra camp though, and this might be an opportunity for the Pulse Bomb as several members are low. The Pulse Bomb's gonna hit Fury, and this time not having the Rockstar, the armor from that. 2 kills go down. June's not gonna run out of here as the Malfurion. The tree just can't run away fast enough. Even Cawthon has been caught. Grenade pulls him back into the team. He's blown up. 4 kills. 5 minutes into the game, 4 kills is massive for Freedom.
What was a close game suddenly just became Team Freedom's game to lose here. Keep in mind, this is series point. This is game 5 between these two teams to figure out who will take it. But now that Team Freedom has secured a level and a half lead pre-10, we talked about it. Every game throughout the series except for Sky Temple has been whoever gets the lead will win it. This map accents that style of play, and this is, timing-wise, perfect for Freedom. The Immortal is going to come online in the next 10 seconds, and when that happens, Team Freedom is going to be rounding themselves the level 10, and it's before the Immortal is going to be achieved.
Both of the forts are down.
It's the actual dream.
We might have a new king of Battlefield of Eternity, which would be interesting considering that Team Freedom often bans this battleground. Here they are, making the quick rotation to start damaging the blue Immortal, Tempo Storm side. And Tempo Storm is in a very small time window. Som gets the Pulse Bomb, tries to sweeping strike back out of damage. Still body blocking Zugrug, and they do some great damage, but even still, Team Freedom has 10 on the horizon.
And they have the Shaman camp rushing up on the top, so Tempo needs to find a way to deal with that and deal with this Immortal. They go to the top Immortal. The members of Team Freedom do start the secondary phase, so then we see Cattle going to respond to the Shaman camp. That's going to give a man advantage for Freedom.
Freedom doesn't have 10 yet, but that did let them get one step closer. They have Nasmus in the bottom, Verdansky in the bottom. On that Vala doing some damage and clearing out the wave to get the experience closer to heroic abilities. Any damage that Tempo Storm can do here is necessary to bringing down the health bar. They just can't lose anybody at the same time.
Team Freedom committed a 5-man to this, so this might be a bit of misplay. Pulse Bomb drops, Fury under a lot of pressure. Stormbolt unable to connect, Curious chasing him down, forces a recall. He makes it out alive, but so does all of Tempo Storm. And now Team Freedom, what was it for a moment a very risky and scary situation. The fact that they went even, they are now backing out. They got this Immortal. They have their 10s, and they're looking to get themselves this keep.
All right, so let's take stock of what Tempo Storm do have. They did some damage, so it's not fully shielded. Just above halfway shielded Immortal for Team Freedom. Heroic abilities are here, are online for Team Freedom, and there's a lot of sieging that can be done. The fear of a Pulse Bomb and the Stim Drone mixed with the Vala. For Tempo Storm, they're going to have Illidan in the top lane trying to get the split soak. Once he gets 10, he can hunt in. They are all quite a ways away from getting that, and there's no fort in the top lane for him to try to get that damage on. The fort is in the bottom, so it's a bit of a frustration point for Tempo Storm.
It might be more than a frustration point. It might be, honestly, a game point even. If this is done properly for Team Freedom, Tempo Storm's got to be very, very careful to keep front wall already dead and the shielding still highly standing there. Tempo Storm, they have to back the Illidan immediately, but again, they're out of the 10, so they can't even defend the keep.
Yeah, Stim Drone's been used from Dansky. This is keep, but not necessarily game because heroic abilities were here and the shielding was dealt with. Tempo Storm keeps Illidan in the lane. He pushes all the way up to the keep, but he gets Tempo Storm heroic abilities, and because of that, he keeps Tempo Storm in this game. Team
Freedom had a situation there where I thought they might take the risk at least 2 to 3 deaths while they get permanent damage moving on to the core because there is no mule, and they've gotten such a big lead here that they essentially can just keep the talent tier lead that they've been going for the 1 level, but then get permanent damage so they can always feign threatening the core at any point in time with that Vala, Stim Drone, Sound Barrier. It would be very easy, but they decide to play it a bit safer. And I'm going to be keep an eye on whether or not Tempo Storm looks to try and capitalize on that. They need to now essentially take what Team Freedom gave them, and that is a fight pre-13.
Well, Team Freedom did use Stim Drone in order to take out the keep, so were you hoping maybe they would have not used it for the keep?
Yeah,
and then
just
use
essentially
it on the
save
core
it.
Instead?
Yeah, their entire mentality from that point, because the 10 wasn't even picked up until the keep was dead. Like, they just waited out, and they have the opportunity, for a Tempo Storm at least, and they had to wait it out and just go, you know what, we can get permanent damage. Like, we can just all in.
Maybe the threat of the heroic abilities was just too much because they were sieging underneath. The Tormented Souls and Mosh Pit could have undone everything that Team Freedom had gotten, and if they used the Stim Drone to get the keep, that meant that they were getting it even a little bit faster. So maybe just the threat of those very high-impact heroic abilities and that Illidan could join the fight pretty fast with the Hunt was enough for Team Freedom to say, we'll just take the safer call.
Yeah, I don't mind seeing them go in the safer call. You know, I just like to live life on the edge, you know? Looking anytime I can go for the core, I'm going for it, boys. Team Freedom will round this 13 talent tier, and it will be over the Immortal phase. That's going to be spawning over the next, it's actually 40 seconds, but we got 10 up until the warning.
Like clockwork dread.
Yeah, that's an internal clock. I don't keep track of that one using the in-game one, but I do, some of them I keep track of the in-game one. Honestly, it's something I'm a little disappointed in myself in, that I've never truly mastered all the timers in the game.
There's still time.
There's still time.
Get it? Because it's a timer.
You know, I'm sick of your puns.
That's fair.
It's time for you to get the hell out of here.
Mortal
That's what it's time for. I don't know what that voice was, but it was creepy.
I'm Batman.
I'm Batman. Oh, man. Immortal phase here for Freedom. They're going to zone out. They have Illidan and ETC double global off to the side lane, but a 1-3-1 is not the go-to when you have no kill potential here for Tempo Storm. A Malfurion, Tacit, or Malthus, not necessarily the trio I'm looking to write home about.
No, the best for Tempo Storm is the positioning of the Immortals. Gives them some time to effectively defend. Caterpillar doesn't get hit by the pulse bomb. He goes right back up with Tormented Souls, but he needs to get those Qs going or he's just going to die. Twilight Dream does not save Malthael's life.
And Sound Barrier used, the boob putting Solomon in a tough spot. Dansky actually goes down. Tempo Storm has a chance in this fight because they are at least not far behind in terms of men, except Zugrug with that Dwarf Toss. They're chasing down June, but the grenade, hang the risk, Collusion finds himself at June. And
Pulse
Tempo
bomb. Takes out ETC. Tassadar goes down 4 kills for the 1 loss of Dansky and Team Freedom. Man, I was rooting for June to leave after the roots were really good to zone Zugrug the first time, and then the body blocks were great there too. But in the end, it was a grenade. Sealed his fate. The respawn timers are fairly low, so Team Freedom will just use this opportunity to do the best that a Tracer and 2 supports can do to the Immortal, and that's starting the halftime. The swap of positioning for the Immortals. But Tempo Storm will now have 13.
Offensive positioning is debatably convenient for Tempo Storm in the fact that they get a little bit of damage out, but inconvenient in the fact that Team Freedom can very much secure this quickly. And with the huge advantage they got over the first half of the phase, that is not a good look for Tempo Storm. Now, 75% shielding roughly is what they're going to have to endure on this Immortal on the last keep up on the top. And they've already got catapults prepping on bottom. Freedom might have a chance to win this game. Psalm goes in. Sound Barrier drops. Pulse Bomb didn't even connect, but I don't know if it's going to matter.
Oh, Caterpillar's looking at setting up for a great Tormented Soul. He'll have it in just a couple of seconds. A Boop throws him back in, but he's ready to go on top of 3 members of Team Freedom, completely zoning away the back line. But Stim Drone from Dansky in the healing, the double supporting, keeping Dansky very healthy as he brings down Caterpillar.
And it looks like Team Freedom is buying a lot of time because this Immortal all the while has just been sieging its way up on the top. And with the 3 members dead, I'm pretty confident that Team Freedom found themselves the game. They don't have themselves one of their supports, though. Might be enough to set them back. The double catapults and only a Tassadar, Malfurion, and Malthael. No Tormented Souls. Looks like it's all she wrote.
Here's the setup for Team Freedom to win the game and win their final series in regular league play. Really their final series since they already qualified for HGC finals at BlizzCon. Tempo Storm ready for the Miracle defense. They have 4 of their members. 2 seconds until Illidan's back up. Can try to take this fight past the Immortal, but the Immortal's going to get onto core right now.
And there's 3 catapults building up on the bottom half too. Tempo. This is it. Fury goes in with the power slide. He hits a few. Rain of Vengeance drop. Pulse Bomb used. Nobody down quite yet. Psalm goes in with the hunt. The Immortal, it's falling very low, but the shielding on the core is already gone.
It's gone, but so is Dansky, so is Tracer. A lot of the damage the Team Freedom can do. Zugrug just sitting on the core, but the shielding of Tassadar maintains its strength. Fury knocks back the catapult, and Team Freedom will wipe on the core. They don't have the 2 supports. They went all the way back. Tempo Storm holds.
And so I know there was a moment where I was suggesting Team Freedom all in onto the core early on. That was when death timers were short, you know, when experience maybe not as close. By no means does this mean Tempo Storm is back into the game. They are miles behind. Still 2 keeps down. They're going to have to use those globals constantly to keep track of those catapults. And in fact, the 44% core is very easy for Team Freedom to just all in it once more. So Tempo now, they have to move out. They have to keep pressure and aggro of every member of Team Freedom. And they're doing so here throughout bottom. Luckily with an Illidan, this is one of the few comps that you can get away with this kind of rebuttal strategy and it always be the right call. So Tempo Storm's got to be very thankful that this has happened with an Illidan comp.
This is maybe the closest game we've had of this entire series. I love that it's game 5 and it's 16-16. Tempo Storm has brought it back. But they are living on the edge of ruin with both of their keeps gone, 44% left on their core. Team Freedom has won just about every Immortal or every Immortal with the race comp that they have, with the Vala with Hungering Arrow build. But at least this point, Tempo Storm doesn't have to start with being down a crucial talent tier that that Team Freedom does have. The biggest deal is that making sure that, as you said, the globals are watching both of the lanes, clearing out, making sure that no catapults get on the core.
And they know that Fury or one of those globals had to go up into top, so I feel like capping that Shaman camp immediately was a bit too soon for Freedom. They need to be timing their pressure onto the core perfectly so that Tempo Storm has to panic, but ETC now has essentially lost no time in the clear of the secondary camp instantly afterwards. And that is small thing, but it means a lot this late into the game for Team Freedom here.
Aggressive positioning for the Immortals. And Team Freedom are the ones who have a slight edge, but it is slight. They didn't use Stim Drone, though. So they have this still. Positioning set up so that both teams start in a defensive posture.
Beneficial of Team Freedom just because of those catapults. But they haven't prepped that bottom lane near enough to be able to be a threat over them a long while. It takes a surprising amount of time for minion waves to build and push into an opposite direction. Even with the catapults at the mid lane, it's about a minute timer out. I mean, if you just think about the minion waves alone, it's a 30-second difference between every catapult set. And so just to get them there, get them in position and start shooting stuff, it's a long while. And so Freedom, I feel like they need to do exactly what we see Cure doing. Prep those lanes a little bit more so then now you have 20 seconds. Tempo has to respond. That's where you get aggressive.
Now Tempo Storm figures out where the aggression comes in. There's Pulse Bomb on a pretty healthy Caterpillar who'll be fine, starting to heal back up thanks to June's heals.
Nasmus and friends trying to heal up Zugrug. He'll get enough here.
Some starting to go back.
2 catapults, and this is the window that I was talking about. Now Freedom should move up, get aggressive, try and do something, make a big play here, knowing that Illidan has to answer to that. If this fails, you cycle to top, get the pressure up to there. Illidan's questioning if he wants to use the hunt. He's in position. He's not killing the minion waves, so Freedom backs out. Now they see him back on it, and they move up. This is, I mean, a brilliant dance from the members of Freedom.
It is really good, and they have Vala with Hungering Arrows. The repeating arrow even a possibility, so she can continue that poke. Kier also doing what poke he can, utilizing the fact that he has the quick blinks out to avoid some of the potential stun locks like an ETC power slide.
But because none of this time from Freedom have they committed to transition towards top to prep top, bottom's been dealt with, and now Tempo Storm has free reign. They can make the fight that they want, and they're going to move Illidan upward and start this. Kier's very, very low to try and take this type of fight. He's going to get hunted.
Yep, there's a hunt. Safeguard there will keep here alive from that initial fight from Som. Pulse Bomb hits him too, and Zugrug zoning away the rest of the team. Som is so low, and he will fall.
Zugrug was just on the backline 1 versus 4, and he was winning that trade just dominantly over the members of Tempo Storm. 20 minutes Souls turns around. Twilight Dream drop from June. It hits so many members of Team Freedom, but it's not enough to get a kill. There's the power slide. Dansky and Frizz are so low. Tempo Storm somehow is turning this fight.
Zugrug, does he have a Dwarf Toss? He does. He gets over into range of the extended care for Morales, and she'll save him. But Tempo Storm gets 2 miracle kills on the 2 damage dealers of Team Freedom, and that's all it needed. That's all that was necessary for them to get this Immortal, although Team Freedom is going to try as hard as they can to stop this. June is back.
There's 3 catapults on the core up on top. As long as they just buy time from Tempo Storm, just don't let them do anything effectively, they might get some free damage. Unable to do so. June is the man there back there. He also took Moonburn at level 1, so he's one of the few supports that can deal with this type of situation now, thanks to that talent. Tempo has no damage onto the core. So let's think about this. We are 45 seconds out for the Immortal to be a threat onto the keep. This keep can end the game for Tempo Storm because they have an Illidan composition. They have an experience advantage. They will click 20. It is in best interest for Freedom to all in the core. I'm amazed it took them this long, to be honest. Their composition at 44%, it is nearly free. So they now Tempo, you see them backing out, they know that this has got to be an all-in core, so they need to count how many men they always see. Right now, 1. We got 2.
Hungering Arrows has removed the shielding on the Immortal. Everyone's here. Fury's joining, so is Illidan. The Immortal is falling way too rapidly.
Yeah, Tempo Storm, they took it back, but they stood too far back, so that damage and the shielding got removed essentially for free. What you need to do is you stick to your Immortal, and you constantly start your channel on your back. You go halfway through, and if you haven't seen anything, you just continue, or you reset the break up until you see somebody on your core, and you constantly cycle that back and forth. So you get to the core as fast as possible and defend. Now Tempo Storm, they have to stay on this half of the map. Illidan's constantly dealing with those catapult pressure. Freedom's goal is now to go, okay, Immortal phase is the only win condition for Tempo Storm. We can literally sit in the Hall of Storms and chill until 20 happens with that trickle down. That is all they need to be doing unless they're going to all in the core, which again is possible. But with Tempo keeping this consistent Archon pressure, infinite Archon's the choice. This is exactly what I was talking about. Only with Illidan composition can you traditionally get away with this style of play. Not only because of the global, but because when he uses the hunt, he can win the game after because he can tank the core for free.
Well, Tempo Storm has the 20 advantage. It's the last talent advantage either team is going to receive in this series. They're trying to make the most of it if they can, not only being this aggressive, make sure that they keep Freedom back in their face, but it's removing the catapult pressure in the bottom lane. Illidan is getting some mercenary pressure in the top lane, and Tempo Storm can try to siege down this keep, although with the composition that we currently see from Tempo Storm, we're seeing how difficult that is with the damage type that they have to try to take this keep down.
I'm just really concerned that Tempo Storm's going to wait for Freedom to hit a 20 mark before the hunt comes in and they all in on this fight. Okay, the Immortals are going to spawn within that window, so it does seem like Tempo is rather going to be concerned more onto the Immortal than this bottom keep, and I mean, rightly so, considering that is the thing that's going to win the game. Good nade from Collusion almost sets up a Rain of Vengeance kill, but Dimensional Shift from Koth and Luck a bit too quick.
Halfway to 20, our Team Freedom. Those Immortals are going to spawn before they get the chance of getting that. Som making sure to get a lot of mercenaries to set up for this Immortal phase so that Tempo Storm can be in the center without threat of catapults or the lanes pushing far enough that Team Freedom could get that back door.
And that top camp is actually ridding of those catapults. So 2 originally were built up and now none exist in the top lane. So another lane that is really 3 to 4 minutes out of effective pressure to core. Not 3 to 4, it's probably more 1 to 2, 1.5 to 2. See the, okay, transition for Freedom.
Yeah, it'll be the halfway point before they have 20. Oh, they get scared away from that.
Team Freedom's not doing anything to be proactive whatsoever. Ever since the, really just the core situation and when the minute that they backed out, they're not doing anything to stop Tempo from doing what they're doing.
They finally have 20, and this is the point to stop it. They have the Stormbolt Pulse Bomb deletion of Malthael, but he has no one can stop death, so he'll be back.
So if anything, that may be a win. Maybe the members of Team Freedom overextend here, but it seems like they've identified the situation. Illidan also is getting that camp up in the bottom to mitigate that catapult pressure in the long run. Stun goes out. Dimensional Shift has got to be forced. Koth and Luck, he's out without one now as he has still kept that Infinite Archon going.
Yeah, Zugrug is still flanking, takes a lot of damage from Caterpillar and Cotton, using Zugrug not only to keep Archon going, but trying to keep him from getting the second wind proc and his heal back up. Zugrug flanking out, making sure that Tempo Storm can't get on top of this Immortal.
Team Freedom has two choices. You either have the opportunity to all in the core once 100% shielding Immortal happens, or get the pick here. And so it looks like their choice is going to try to get the pick here. Zugra goes in. That's a pretty big door toss. Nasmus boop.
Boops him back. Team Freedom are
Pulse
going
bomb?
for the fight. Cure uses the recall. Koth and Luck dimensional shifts back. That was a lot that was used.
Illidan's
Avatar was the biggest deal. Illidan with a double camp on the keep of Team Freedom. Team Freedom have to figure out what to do here. Tempo Storm forcing them into a checkmate situation. Illidan with camp in the bottom. Tempo Storm gets the Immortal.
How has Team Freedom not gone to the core yet? Even if Illidan had pressure all the way through bottom, just they had so much time to at least feign some form of pressure. Now they have let the Immortal get consumed by Tempo Storm, and they still aren't moving out to the core. The shielding, or the catapults, are already been dealt with up on towards top. They zone off Tempo Storm because they're worried about finding members, and then they're going to take the free Volla damage again, scaring off Tempo Storm far enough. I mean, it's a fool me once type situation, Gilly.
They've done so much damage, but Psalm's sitting on the core. They've already taken the keep out. Tempo Storm are fine to forget the Immortal and instead just try to go straight for the core because of Psalm, because of having the Illidan.
But if they end up losing anybody, this could cost them the game. Good zoning and route there. The top keep is still defending off that Immortal. That Immortal is not enough to secure this game by any means that fast.
Yeah, Freedom dealt a lot of damage to it before they had to rotate to stop Psalm getting off of the core, and the core is 100% health.
The catapults up on top are not going to be built long enough to be any point where Team Freedom gets the Miracle Winion type play. So I cannot believe I'm saying this, but they survived this Immortal phase.
25 minutes into the game, and they survive it.
All because of the zoning that they did immediately after. Like, it's just so interesting how the angle with Freedom not moving up towards the core, and then the Tempo is able to be zoned off back to back. You could see the thought process from Tempo, but if that's the direction they're going to go, they have to apply it to core as 5-member immediately. But again, they're 5 to 10 seconds too far behind.
Well, Freedom get their Shaman camp, which is going to be nice immediately now. And then they're going to go to the bottom lane and start clearing that and pushing in that lane. But what that does mean is that Tempo Storm is going to have an advantage if they get their Shaman camp closer to the next Immortal phase. If we make it to the next Immortal phase, I mean, if we get into a team fight at this point, it'll be lights out for either team, whoever loses that team. We've got no keeps left, 44% on the core. Team Freedom maybe finally doing it.
They're going to wait and see if anybody shows. Maybe in feign a Lucio and send him out to the lane kind of by himself. But if you send one, then it's too easy of a bait. If you send two, then it's probably still too much. If you send three, they know all 5 are there. It's kind of awkward this late in. They do get revealed from Tassadar. Koth and Luck threw out that Oracle.
ETC was in the top. Ideal target to have in the top thanks to the stage dive. Has waited until 22. Fury so patient with his level 20s for ETC.
I know we don't talk about this too often, but see that sidewall right there on the left-hand side of your screen? Team Freedom had a moment earlier in the game where they decided to back rather than take that out. If they had taken this out, they would have had a third option to be able to make it towards this core and possibly end this game. Just something to think about in your Hero League games at home, boys. If you have the chance to take out a structure, probably do it. It eventually could pay off. So when it comes to catapult pressure, Tempo matches it up on top. It's a 50-50 now in one lane, so bottom's all that matters. It's 50-50 here for the camps, but the catapults will build up. But because there's a camp, it buys a lot of time for Tempo, and Tempo legitimately only wants time in this game.
One final Immortal phase to determine the outcome of this entire series. 27 minutes into Battlefield of Eternity, tied up in games between Tempo Storm and Team Freedom.
They're going for the core. Murden's going to delay. That was brilliant. They used Lucio boost immediately. All the members, Team
Hunt.
Freedom, they're going in.
The Hunt gets Psalm at least back to this now too. Rain of Vengeance catches him. Stage dive behind
Stim
them.
drone.
Fury's going to catch. He gets 3 people.
Stim drone's so
Stim
early.
drone on Cure. He is on top of the core now, trying to do what he would do maybe with an Illidan. But Team Freedom are all over the place. Psalm catches. Sound barrier has to be used. Team Freedom are going to
But they
get
lost
out.
Illidan.
They do take out Illidan. Cattle sitting on a lot of the members of Team Freedom. Gets booped back, but right back in on top of those 3.
Cattle's unable to get a kill there. He throws out the last E, and it's not enough to get the teleport. Lucio's movement speed's too much. It looks like, no, Nasmus, he gets caught out, but it costs Cattle his life. It's a 1-for-1, but Cattle immediately comes back using his level 20 upgrade, and now Tempo Storm has damage onto the core. The catapults have built there, the minions are there, and Tempo is going to possibly just end it now.
They've got to keep these 2 damage dealers alive. Dansky has to stay alive. The healing
No,
from Collusion, but Collusion might go down to Fury as he's being chased. Cure
Cure
comes back in, hitting
The
Fury.
beam?
Heavy impact.
Miracles do happen. Freedom somehow delays a smidge longer, but Tempo, they want to end it. Illidan, for 16 seconds until he's going to be back. We have 10-second difference until the hunt. There's nothing to auto-attack, so Tempo Storm, they back out. They aren't willing to risk it.
They just go to the Immortal.
And then it's going to kick off halftime. When that goes through, that buys a lot of time for Freedom. That's enough for Lucio to come back to life. Illidan will be there. Team Freedom, do they all in the core once more? Probably not. They would have been able to get away with it if it wasn't for the brilliant stage dive of HGC. And then Cure was the only one willing to take the actual all-in. If you're going to go for that call, you have to do it, and it cannot be the Tracer who is tanking it.
Yeah, the stage dive was incredible, but the hunt was very good too. It was just enough to draw some resources, scare Team Freedom, and instead of getting right on the core, Arena Vengeance went out on him instead. We have stabilized, but it's Team Freedom now halfway down their Immortal health. Everyone back into the game. No extra core damage done in either of those hits, but again, Illidan is starting to rotate down around, potentially to the core.
But if Illidan goes for the core, the question is 44% of the all-in of Team Freedom faster than the Illidan of 100% to 0? And I think the answer is very much yes.
Yeah, but nobody's even positioned to start going there yet.
But they've got Lucio, you know, he's a pretty quick lad.
He can speed them through, that's true.
Or you can feign the same last play that you made with the Murd and zoning. Hold up, pulse bomb out. Dimensional shift, deter that. You feign it, and you act like you're going for the core. You bait all the people to get the initiation, and you back out, and you're like, thanks for the free Immortal.
Stim Drone is back up, and Team Freedom are ready to try again. If at first you don't succeed,
go for the core.
Team Freedom are ready to go for the core again. Zugrug slowing down. Hunt goes in. It is on top of Nasmus. Stage Dive's going to be there too. Nasmus is drawn back. This time, they do not have those members on the core yet. As Dansky gets in there, Dansky is going to be on the core of Stim Drone. Stim Drone has been used. They're starting to bring it down.
30,
they brought it down to 25%.
20,
Team Freedom just
15,
might have been able to do
barrier.
it. They did it. They did it. They take down the core of Tempo Storm, but good grief, it was a 30-minute Battlefield of Eternity game. What just happened? Oh, are you kidding?
It was a doozy. That's what happened. Man, what happened? It sounded like Zagara in that video, you know? The Keltis, if anybody's taking a minute to appreciate the Zagara audio as she flips over the Sergeant Hammer, but that was honestly amazing that Team Freedom held off 2 Immortals in a row. The fact that they were able to zone off Tempo, and the fact that Tempo Storm was unsuccessful twice in a row. Then Team Freedom, they were like, okay, finally this is our all-in. I do feel like that was far too late, and then they panicked, and then somehow bought enough time to give it a second shot.
Let's look at the end again, because that was epic. What a way to close out HGC North America League play. I mean, yeah. We've got playoffs next week, but it doesn't get much better than this. Nasmus this time being so far away, after the hunt was drawn in, he gets pulled in and then Fury jumps on him. That was the difference. They use the Stim Drone, they have Dansky and Cure wreaking havoc on the core. Cure also was wreaking havoc.
How much 1% left and he sits at that much HP, but Zugra comes in there. I was wondering for a moment if we did see Psalm effectively zone out the Lucio the entire time, would that sound barrier been enough to lose the game? But I think Zugrug did have the damage to be able to make up for that. I don't know. It would have been a little bit closer. I'm just trying to figure out, was there any way Temple could have stopped that? Because I thought there was no way Temple could have stopped that 5 minutes before. So, and it was still pretty close, right? So that means that it very much was a bit closer than even I originally had calculated. But I am glad that Freedom understood the situation. I just felt like if they were to go back and watch that VOD, if you do the same math shot calling decision making that we always talk about, what's the fight you're willing to take. If you look at did you get a better one before, I feel like there was about 3 to 4 times when it comes to that core they had a better situation to make it happen. But I still feel like the highlight of that entire game is Fury on that stage dive. I mean, that thing was near blind. If you think about the foresight to predict the Lucio transition, to be able to get that level of man, it was really well done.
I totally agree with Fury in his stage dive. It's very nice to see Fury back on the primary warrior for Tempo Storm. I'm glad that they were able to figure out how to best use his skills, his best skills as the tank, and then still be able to make things work with Caterpillar and his side soaking, because Tempo Storm looked very good today.
Yeah,
and they look to be in a great position for playoffs. So it's awesome to see that these final changes have been able to work out for them. But Team Freedom also looked pretty good today. Let's check in with Nasmus. Hey, Nasmus, how you guys feeling after that last game?
That was exhausting, honestly, but Feeling good. We won in the end. 30 minutes. If we lose after that, it's kind of hard. But glad we did win. Yep.
All right, well, we saw you guys take on Kalthazad in 2 games and then eventually ban it out versus Tempo Storm. Had you guys gotten very much practice with or against Kalthazad, and what are you guys' thoughts after seeing Sam play him today?
At the start of the week, like everybody was fighting for him. Like first pick Kel'Thuzad, then everybody figure out how to beat him. So it was like, well, screw Kel'Thuzad. But they did pick Kel'Thuzad like in a great way. Like they sneaked the Kel'Thuzad pick instead of just showing it at the very beginning, so it's harder to counter it. So it's a good hero, obviously, but it has a lot of flaws as how to kill it. But they set it up the pick pretty well.
Yeah, well, awesome adaptation having Sonya dive him at the end of the Sky Temple game. Congrats again on your win. I'll send you over to Dread.
The only thing I got to ask is just with Tempo Storm and the performance that they had today, I was wondering if you could maybe give a little bit of like how the level that you feel like Tempo played today, because from our point of view, Tempo Storm looked old form and that team should be fearing them going into the playoffs. And I was just wondering, you know, the guy getting to click on the same game as them, did it feel the same from your guys' point of view?
They did look like they were all on the same page. Like that River first game, Kirstolo, their comp was a bit special, but they were looking to just delete somebody, and they were able to do that a lot. We did came out with the victory, but props to them for executing it so well. So I think, yeah, they're looking pretty good right now.
Yeah, I mean, they look pretty amazing. And, I mean, so do you guys, obviously qualifying for the HGC finals. And good luck at the
Yeah.
finals. I'll give you back to Gilly.
All right, well,
Thanks.
I asked Roll20 this, and I want to hear your perspective. Looking at the 4 teams who will be in playoffs next week, who do you guys think will join you guys in Roll20 at the HGC finals at BlizzCon?
Oh, no, I got to choose.
Yeah, sorry, putting you on the spot.
I don't know. Tempo looked good, so I'm going to go ahead with this. I already talked a bit about them too, so I'm going to get a quick exit with this one. But I think it's going to be a pretty close fight between everybody. Like even the six team could get away with an upset. We never know.
Yeah, I think that's what makes our playoffs look so fun and very exciting, is because we don't truly know who's going to join you guys there. But congrats again. Really excited to have you guys at HGC Finals. Any shout-outs before we let you go celebrate with the team?
Well, special shout out obviously to my team, BlizzCon baby, let's go. But big thanks for the cheers, Gladman, the man, and Purdy, Dorn, Savvy, our 2 top donators, and everybody else too. Big thanks, and Twitch chat obviously. Thanks for the meme.
Awesome. Thank you,
Bye,
Nasmus.
everybody.
Good luck.
Bye.
Getting here from Freedom. That was such an awesome series to end our league play. I'm really looking forward to playoffs next weekend, but I'm so glad that we had that series to end our league play. It's a little bit sad.
Yeah, I feel like I should have something like, you know, hold on a minute, I'll pull out. All right, here we go. You know, here we go. I just want to say thank you, everybody. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Shout out to my mom, you know, my brain for helping me cast. Like, you just going through the list. I feel like I should have something.
Important, trust me.
Yeah.
You want to respect your brain. Let's look at the standings of North America one last time before the playoffs next weekend. Roll20 and Team Freedom will represent us at the HGC Finals of BlizzCon. Lag Force and Even in Death will be going into the Crucible. From there on, it's Superstar Space Station to kick off the playoffs next Friday in North America. Winner of that takes on Tempo Storm, and the winner of that takes on Gale Force Esports for the 3rd spot at BlizzCon for North America.
Also, I want to give a bit more credit to Nasmus having the opportunity to shout out one of the teams, because we did ask Mike Udall, or not Mike Udall, who did we ask? We asked somebody yesterday to choose a team, and they said, it could be Tempo Storm or Gale Force Esports. And I was like, it could be the 3rd or 4th seed. And, you know, it was a pretty risky venture. At least Nasmus was willing to be like, I'll say Tempo Storm. Because we did force him to choose, and then we didn't actually force the other person to do so.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
We're a bit rude, you know, up here at the HGC North America. We're sorry, Nasmus.
I'm not. Let's look at the top 3 tier teams for North America before we end the day. In the weekend, Roll20 Gale Force and Tempo Storm. It's still Roll20 on top. It's been Roll20 on top as it is in the standings, so it shall be in the cheers.
Not so much when looking at Gale Force and Tempo Storm there, sitting
That's
far
true.
above everybody. And then the individual cheerers, Gladman bodying everyone tenfold. And then we see down the line, Craters, we got Sikmo. I'm still sorry, I can't, whoever's
Man,
141,033.
somebody tweeted how to say this. It's like Toki. Thank you so much, Toki, and everyone else for cheering for HGC, supporting your teams, supporting your favorite teams, your favorite players, unlocking some items in game. I've been rocking the Roll20 stuff as of late just to congratulate them, right, for being the top of NA.
I always go with the MVP black. You know, it's the way to remain neutral. If you go with NA or EU, everybody's like, you know, Dread, you're bi. So I just throw out the Korean. Or you can just choose the random Chinese team that, you know, maybe somebody doesn't know. Because let's be real here, most of our North American fans not keeping track of those mid-tier Chinese teams.
You want to rock out some Hots Lady gear?
Yeah, some Hots Lady. I'm ready for it. I'm down with some of the old school Raven stuff. You know, I thought I've always enjoyed that logo.
No, we'll duo, and you can rock the Hots Lady. I'll bust out the RRR. I think that's it, everybody, until playoffs. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. HGC Open Division for Europe. Playoffs start tomorrow. We're going to have Latin America. Those start Monday, the Open Division playoffs for Europe. Tomorrow is the Latin American Regional Finals, so you can check in and see who will be representing LATAM at the HGC Finals at BlizzCon. But that's all. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us this weekend throughout all of HGC. Come back next week for playoffs. We'll see you then.